what we know today, as we came to learn from Elisa, is learning and evolving and advancing, which is dynamically making the digital transformation processes improve our livelihood of businesses, such as the retail industry. Which is why today we have a quite interesting panel discussion planned for you on how digital marketing is reshaping the retail industry. We'll be talking about the changes, the trends that we should be keeping an eye on just to see how we could implement in our businesses. Having said that, I'd like to draw out a very important disclaimer. Our goal today is that whatever your role is in this industry, we hope that you get at least one idea or a fresh perspective or even a new strategy that you can take away home to your business and start implementing it. Because at the end of the day, we are here to help you level up your businesses and take it to the next level. Having said that, I'll take you throughout the format before I invite the panelists to the stage. Is that at the beginning, we'll be giving a few minutes for the panelists to introduce themselves. Then I'll kick off the conversation and try to ask questions so we could pull out the insights. And then it will be your time to ask your questions. So I will invite you ahead of time to keep an open mind, an active ear, and get your questions prepared. Having said that, I'm going to invite my panelists to the stage. Mr. Ali Abdulhadi, Stefania, please, Monash. A round of warm applause and excitement, please, yes. Thank you. Welcome. Please have a seat. I'll be sitting here, so the closer you are to me, the better. There you go. Welcome. It's finally nice to see you in person, back to in-person events. So let's kick off. Before we begin with a one-liner, how could you introduce yourself?
Am I audible? Yeah. My name is Monash. I run a digital marketing company called Ubrik. As a company, we focus on revenue as a problem for our set of clients, and we work in both the B2B space and in the education space. So this is myself, and we've been doing this for probably 12 years. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not done yet. Just a second. So sure. There's a catch here. For every panelist who's going to introduce themselves, you will also share with us what is the one thing you don't want people to know about you.
They don't want to know about
you. You don't want people to know about you. Yes.
This is not related to the panel though, yeah. But as an entrepreneur, I think the hill upstairs is quite hard, yeah. And we constantly think that the hill is going to be a lot more plateau at some time and it's going to be better. But as an entrepreneur, I think there's always hustle and struggle that goes on. And I think my close friends, my family kind of see that in me. A lot of people don't, yeah. So I think that is a takeaway, or that is something that people don't know about me much.
Thank you for sharing. Stefania.
My name is Stefania Brunori. I've been working in marketing for more than 20 years, both offline and online. I'm old school. So I do really believe in the mix of both offline and online. Obviously, I have specialized in the last 7 years in digital content marketing and social media. And if there is one thing that I'd like you to remember, is the power of your personal brand to do business and to grow your companies. I could be talking for hours about this, but basically, personal brand presence can help you really grow your company. So just keep that in mind, and probably we'll be talking a bit more about that later.
Definitely we will. And what is the one thing you don't want people to know about you?
One thing
that is basically will help people understand you more, but you don't talk about it much. One thing.
I would say that is not an internal fight, but it's something that I bring together, which is how to balance having an online presence and work with your digital marketing and being healthy and mentally fit. Because we all know that being so many hours connected online has an impact, right? Funny enough, this afternoon I'm going to be talking about digital well-being on the radio. So I think that is really important for any entrepreneur in any company to understand that yes, we can use the power of digital marketing and being present, but we also need to know how to use that in a way that doesn't damage our mental health.
Thank you for highlighting that. Thank you. Ali, your turn.
Thank you. My name is Abdulhadi. I'm the marketing director at makanE. I've built my career working on the agency side, where I've worked with multiple brands to kind of create their online presence, as well as work on performance marketing campaigns with them. With makanE, it's a completely different, it's the opposite side of the spectrum, where what we do is we have an e-commerce builder, and we help SMEs build their online presence and be able to sell online. So we create e-commerce enabled websites and mobile apps. And yes, we have customers throughout the region, and our mission is not to just get customers selling online, but to grow online. So to grow their businesses and join the digital revolution.
I'm really looking forward to learn more about that, but you're not going to run away from my question as well. So what is the one thing you don't want people to learn about you?
I have a very bad snoring problem.
Snoring
Yes,
problem.
is this the kind of response you're looking for?
Thank you for sharing that. Stefania, I'm gonna start with you. What are the biggest changes that we should be expecting in 2022 when it comes to digital marketing?
Okay, if we talk on the context of this industry, there was a recent statistic that I saw about gift cards, which really surprised me. And it is that 45% of the people still prefer to go and shop in a retail store. But then you have a 30% that want to buy online, and more surprising is that a 25% want to do both. They want to have this mixed experience of offline and online. And I think this is the biggest change that we are going to see. We've shifted this year with, in the last 2 years, people who were never buying online, they were forced to buy online. So it was a bit excitement on, wow, we can shift our shop online. And now we have realized that that's not pretty 100% like that, but we are moving towards a phygital space, physical and digital. And this needs to really coexist, and not with the same experience that we had before. We are not coming back to the shops as they were 3 years ago. And we are not going either into the digital space with automatic chat boxes where someone that is not a person talks to us. This is not the change that we are going to see. It's going to be an augmented experience offline and a better customer experience, an augmented experience offline in the retail shop through technology, but also an enhanced digital experience. So this is where I think is going to be the shift and the trend, mixing both, but with an expanded experience.
So what are the 3 things or 4 that we can do to balance between both online and offline? So when you say enhanced, what can we do to enhance that?
Well, when it comes to in-shop, the technologies of augmented reality, I always like looking at the fashion industry because they are really advanced, also because the budgets that they use, right? And this can be applied then to other industries like paper. So with the virtual reality, what they are doing is that the user that goes to the shop, in the same shop, with the use of the device, which is something that, as you can see, we have close to us in less than 1 meter, more than 5-6 hours per day. So with apps and technology, they can see more characteristics about the product, more information perhaps about the sustainability of what they are buying, different colors, different applications, can give you suggestions, and it already gets your data, which means that they are going to retarget you in the future in a more personalized way. And the whole experience.
So when you say personalized,
yes.
Could you elaborate more on that?
Yes. So if we understand the digital world in a way that is taking advantage for us as a company, we are doing it in our own way. Okay. If we think on a chat box, okay, then I'm going to save money because I'll have an automatic reply. That's not how it is going. It's about giving a more personalized service, so your marketing tools deeply understand the customer, what he or she likes or dislikes, which is their purchasing process, what makes their life easier, how can you help them? And then we go back to what the first speaker was saying,
Yeah.
which is about the marketing personas. You really need to understand to whom you are selling to see how you are solving their problems and how you can give them a better experience. So when I talk about personalization, I talk about that, the whole customer journey, and marketing really to provide a product or service that makes the customer life easier, happier,
And more efficient.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And that brings me to you, Monash. How can we make the digital marketing more efficient? Because at the end of the day, there's an investment happening here. So what is the return on investment and how can we make the best out of it?
Yeah, I mean, just like you were mentioning, yeah, it's an experience that the customer is actually having, yeah, digitally. And
It's an experience.
it's an
after all.
experience, yeah. And usually in a company to give that experience, there are multiple people. Let's take an example of a shop. There's somebody at the reception who welcomes you in. Once you've interested into a product, there is somebody who's explaining things to you. See this bottle, these are the features, these are the functions, yeah. We call them the sales department. Then the reason why they came into the shop is might be they've seen an ad, either digitally, physically, they've seen it
Or
on the
sometimes a word of mouth as well.
word of mouth. So
Yeah.
there's marketing involved. So what you see to manage customer experience, there are multiple divisions or departments in the company that has played a role. To effectively measure digital marketing efficiency, you ideally have to have a system that talks between departments. Yeah, we call them.
So what stocks between the departments?
It's something like a CRM. Yeah?
Okay.
Simply put, it's a CRM, but the CRM actually has information of what the customer journey is. How many touch points has he come to the website? Has he emailed us? Has he talked to one of the chatbots that we have? In one place, yeah. And different departments can actually update them. So if he's walked into, we have all called up call centers where they actually address you by the first name. So
Yeah,
this is how
true.
a call center gets integrated with a CRM. Within CRM, now the challenge is when we talk about the word CRM, people think about customers, yeah.
Customer relations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when we talk about marketing, these are not our customers yet. These are our potential customers. So we need to have a system that has prospect data. So somebody who's a stranger who's become a prospect, then eventually will be a customer. We need to build a system or either
So to measure, we have to have a
efficiency.
system.
Exactly. So
Okay.
this system should be updated by the ads that we do. So that should feed in data. It should be updated by the customer service for the phone calls that they get. It should be updated by sales, telling that how good are these leads coming in, how good are these walk-ins coming in, so that people can adapt
How
and
good
change.
or how qualified?
How good, how qualified, what are we learning from them? So the next iteration can be better. So I think the first speaker was talking about tests that can be
Yeah.
run. So today tests can be run, and today we can actually measure them by collecting data. So efficiency is putting a system that multiple departments can come into place, and there are and today, for example, I can take names. Yeah, so there's something like HubSpot, there's something like Zoho, there's something like Lead Square. These are different softwares that it's either free or it's like a freemium model that you can start with, and you can actually see this whole experience going through, and you can see, okay, this particular investment I've done, what is my cost of acquisition of a customer? So you can actually map and see the whole journey of the customer digitally.
Thank you for that. So that takes me to you, Ali. From a marketing perspective, what is the most effective way to drive traffic to e-commerce websites? Because you could do all the systems you want, you could do all the education and awareness that we want. Without traffic, there's no leads that would end up being potential clients.
That's very true, and this might sound a bit counterintuitive, but there's all of these different channels. There's social media, and TikTok is big, but at the end of the day, I found that the most effective and most efficient way is actually looking at something that's a bit older, focusing on SEO, because when you run campaigns and you do influencer outreach, you move the needle and you get a lot of traffic, and this traffic lasts about 24 hours. And then dies down to zero. But once you have like a good SEO presence, you kind of have that ongoing, regular traffic coming to your website. So So my advice is always focus on your SEO, focus on this guaranteed traffic that's going to come in every single day and every single month. And I always suggest focusing on backlinks, because there's only so much you can do on your on-site SEO, where you can fix your headings, and you can do this, and you can do some of the technical stuff, and you can write blog content. But at the end of the day, the differentiating factor is the amount of backlinks you have. So if
So
you
could
can
you give us an example?
Yes. So let's say so I live in Jordan. Jordan is a very small country with almost 30 banks in it. So at the end of the day, there's only so many results that are going to be on the first page of Google when you search, let's say, car loan or bank loan in Jordan. But so let's say half of these banks have perfect on-site SEO. Their websites are perfect. There's nothing wrong with them. So you have 15 banks, and let's say only 10 slots on the first page. How is Google going to decide which sites are going to be on top? So then they go into the off-site SEO, where they look at the backlinks. How many other websites have linked to this bank? So let's say one of the banks has very good coverage on other websites from, let's say, Bloomberg and BBC and CNN. So this gives that website a lot of weight, and this weight is going to be that factor that gets you in that number one slot, not at the bottom of the first page. So this is a bit of an extreme example.
So let's say two brands
Yes.
went and done the SEO at the same time, same budget, same
Yeah.
everything. Which one comes first?
Let's say there's two identical websites
Yes.
that sell the exact same products. How is Google going to decide which one's going to be above the other? Depending on how many quality links are on the internet driving to this website. So if website A has 1,000 links from very good quality websites, like let's say the CNNs and the Bloombergs, it's going to give it a huge edge over the one that doesn't have any links. So the amount of links that you have and the quality of those links is very important to make sure that you have ongoing traffic, as well as a good ranking on search engines.
Interesting. That's an interesting point. So Stefania, do you think social media ads are still efficient and needed these days?
They are needed, and as you were saying, picking up from the SEO talk, you need to have two things in parallel, which are ongoing campaigns and then organic as well. What is happening with the ads is that our audience, the potential clients, are becoming wiser and wiser. So the ads that we used to do 2 years ago, or even 1 year or 3 months ago, are not working anymore. Everybody is able to spot an ad. So we are moving as well to ads that need to be more relatable and not looking like an ad.
An ad, yes. Yeah.
So yes, they work, but there is a saturation. Just keep in mind that.
So how can someone stand out?
Sorry?
How can someone stand out? When I want to do a social media ad and not make people think that I'm selling you in a direct way, how can I do that?
Okay, think that daily there are more than 6 billion pieces of content created worldwide. 6 billion, which means that we are overly saturated.
Yeah.
How you can stand out is not only with the ad. It needs to be a balance between what you see in an ad and what you see on your feed, for example, on social media. And don't think that probably with an ad you are going to capture the attention of getting a lead immediately, but maybe you will need to retarget. Obviously, any type of lead magnet is always quite yummy in the context of digital marketing. Video is way more powerful than an static image. But again, you need to go to the narrative that is more emotional. And
more of storytelling?
Absolutely, 100%. And it needs to be more relatable to the clients. Of course, the more you personalize, and we go back to what we were saying before, the more personalized it is, the more I'm going to feel related to that ad. And the more you know your marketing persona, and in an ideal world, if you could have and a specific ad for every type of persona that you have, that would be the perfect thing.
Yeah, yeah. Monash, I see you nodding your head all the time, so I want to hear about your opinion on that, and then I'll ask you my question. Because you're nodding, I want to know what you're thinking.
No, see, I mean, we have a different approach to personas, yeah? I mean, the more we understand personas, it's very good. I think the level of specialization we get into the B2B industry, as marketing, we always have a challenge understanding personas. And it's very hard to go and talk to customers and find out what people do. Yeah.
Is it hard because you don't have the tools, or you don't have the time, or you don't have the knowledge?
We don't have that access. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So in a big organization, especially B2B, there would be probably 20 salespeople and one marketing person for it. That's kind of the ratio you have. Yeah.
Okay.
And people who are in marketing do have a challenge to have daily conversation with customers. Yeah. So how we hack the process is we do workshops where we put in customer facing people in a room. That is your sales people, your pre-sales people, and customer service people. We do a workshop to understand through them what are the buyer personas. Yeah. And we've seen a company not having more than 3 personas, especially B2B. Yeah. And this is where the more we understand the buyer or the potential buyer, and what are their goals, what are their aspirations, what gets them going, it really works in social. Yeah. So very, very naturally. So we for example, for a company, you have a procurement department, you have another department, you have a design department. As a salesperson, the moment I meet procurement, I would talk about how efficient my rates are, how efficient my logistics is, how soon I can give. But the same sales guy, when he goes and talks to the design department, he talks about how efficient his machine is. He knows what to say to get people ticking or understanding your product. Yeah.
And who trains them?
The job trains them. Because of the hundreds and thousands of conversations that they have every day, the sales guy understands, okay, when I meet a procurement department, I don't have to talk about specification of my product. I need to talk about how cost effective my product is.
Interesting.
And
okay.
Once you get this insight from the salesperson, you can actually we can actually start targeting ads for the design department, talking about only design and specification and efficiency. Build on it. And they would come and then interact with the brand, download something like a lead magnet, things like that. And the procurement department, you just talk about how cost effective we are and how much stock that we hold, so that is what leads to the procurement guy's promotion. The efficient design leads to the design guy's promotion. So as long as we understand what his success is, it's very easy for us to market to that person and be more efficient.
If I can add to that, even on a channel level, I remember watching this webinar from Facebook, and they were saying how you can promote the same product in different ways across Facebook and Instagram. So from their perspective, they said that Facebook is more informational and obviously Instagram is more visual. So they gave the example of these hair clinics that do something that really touched the nerve, hair implants. So they said, let's say this hair clinic is posting content on Facebook, they're going to be more descriptive. They're going to say this is the process and this is how long it takes to recover and this is what you need to do. And it's very text heavy. But the same company on Instagram would show before and after pictures. This is what you look like before, this is what you look like after. So it also works on when you're choosing channels as well, what are the different ways of communicating based on the channel you're using?
100%. Thank you for sharing that. That inspired a question. So how can a brand choose the right platform for it? So Alyssa's mentioned something that most of us as businesses, we go into LinkedIn, and this is where our marketplace is. But how can a brand make sure that it's on the right platform? Because many people would actually have a budget for Instagram and it doesn't work out. Now there's TikTok, where you just post videos and it could be a potential platform for you. So how can brand make that decision?
I think this is a challenge that every brand faces, yeah. And I think it goes back to understanding the whole cycle, measuring efficiency. So the first step is to put in something in place where you can measure efficiency. And the only thing that you have control on the website, on the internet is your own website. So that's where you can put tracking. That's where you can see the leads or the inquiry or the traffic I'm getting from an X platform is working or not working. So first thing is to make sure that you.
So you have to experiment the platform first.
No, but how do you experiment if your website does not have analytics? If your website is not integrated to the sales system? Yeah. So the first thing is to make sure that the website is there. It has integrations with all kinds of analytics to measure that. Yeah. The next step is to start experimenting. Yeah. So LinkedIn is a good, easy start for businesses. But LinkedIn is extremely expensive. Yeah. So you would probably pay $50 to $60 to show an ad to 1,000 people on LinkedIn. But on Facebook, it's only probably $6, $7, $4, depending on how you bid. So could I capture the first impression, the first lead, or the first click to my website on LinkedIn? And then can I continue the journey on a cheaper platform like Instagram or Facebook, or even a much more engaging platform like YouTube? Yeah. So
YouTube is on the rise now.
Oh man, I mean, because of, there's a simple rule called 7-11-4, yeah, a research by Google, where when a company or when a person wants to buy from another company, he has to spend 7 hours with the brand, yeah, on 11 different touch points and on 4 different platforms. And on YouTube, you put in video, you've covered a big chunk of the 7 hours. The rest of the 7 hours could be they walking into the store, talking to a customer, seeing you on events, seeing the whole marketing, the marketing mix in different places that you are found. So this is where understanding this mix, yeah. So yes, you need to, number one, coming back to your question, number one, put the analytics in place to understand what is working, and then start experimenting. Start with
so
the obvious
Stefania, I
one.
have a $1 million question to you, because if Monash is saying we need to experiment on the platforms and do what's the content and all of those insights, how can we beat the algorithm on the social media now that it's changing? So how can we make sure that our algorithm is on our side, not our enemy, if that's making sense?
First, I'd like to add something on what he was saying. And I think the first question is always going back to who is your audience and where are they? So if I am targeting CEOs from 45 to 55 years old, probably I'm not going to go to TikTok. I'll go to LinkedIn, or I'll go to trade events, or I'll become a member of a CEO's club. Okay, so I think this is the step number one to choose. Then you can be strategically in some other platforms because you want to have that visibility, or that can open some other type of leads. But by tracking, as he was saying, you will narrow down really where your leads come from. And back to your question regarding the algorithms, a skill that any marketer needs to have is market empathy. And
I love that.
Yes, yeah. and really understanding the analytics, not only to understand the algorithms, but to predict where it is going to be. We've seen a rise on video, and we've seen, for example, Instagram shifting towards video, shorter videos, reels, like TikTok, okay? So,
and now Facebook introduced reels.
Yes, we don't need Instagram to tell us that they are going to favor that. We already know, if we have that market empathy, that marketer empathy, you know that this is where they are going to push their content towards. So how to be the algorithm? Of course, being updated, working with artificial intelligence, doing your analytics so you can spot the trends, and having that ear of really grasping where it is moving towards, because of course Instagram is going to change it sometimes in 3 days. What was working last week is not working anymore, and the only way to follow that is your analytics, the technology, artificial intelligence, but take another step, which is listen. So you can spot the trend and understand, like Instagram was a person, which is the personality. What can you predict that is going to be the next move from Instagram or any of the other platforms?
Thank you for that. So that's basically more into personalizing things and to on the humanitarian side. Ali, you spoke yesterday in your presentation about influencers. I'm someone who feels a bit skeptical about influencers, especially when they are just promoting, let's say, a product that because they got paid for it. How authentic and what is the best strategy to work with influencers and actually get a good benefit out of it?
Influencers are very tricky because, especially for me, I have to kind of have a split between my personal preference and my professional preference.
Yeah.
Personally, I 100% agree with you. But when it comes to the impact that they have, there are a lot of cases where they do make a lot of impact, and we work with influencers to promote makanE as well as our merchants that we work with. Unfortunately, a lot of times they're a bit unpredictable in terms of the results. Sometimes you get amazing results, and sometimes they're a bit underwhelming. So there's three things that we mostly look at when choosing influencers. We look at their community, their credibility, and their content. So the community is the number of followers that they have, and obviously, like once you look into the analytics, you want to make sure that they're real and in the cities and the demographics that you want to target. The credibility is something that's obviously very important. Like you want to make sure that you're not working with influencers that just do nothing but ads, and you're just an ad between all other ads. And you want to make sure there's that connection between your brand and this person. So like let's say
the values has to be aligned at some point.
Of course. There has to sometimes you can make a case. So like let's say if there's let's say if there's a stationery company that's promoting specific pens, you can work with a chef that works in the food industry, but make sure that the content is overlapping and related. So which is the third part, which is content. So a lot of times what we end up doing is we might work with a influencer that doesn't have that community with like hundreds of thousands and millions of followers, but they have really good content. So what we would do is we would have them prepare their high quality content, and then we would actually pay them more, and actually we would take access to their account and we would promote their content. So this way you get the best of both worlds, where you get very good content, you get that credibility and that alignment between the influencer and the brand, and you can achieve this level of community through advertising. So we find that this is kind of like the best of all worlds, as long as you find that really good influencer that connects with the brand, that creates very high quality content.
Isn't it fair to stop calling them influencers and call them influential?
Yes.
That you know what, it's not just to point it out, but because I feel that influencers is becoming a buzzword, and it's becoming also giving people the wrong impression that influencers here and influencers there. But basically what you're doing, what you just mentioned, the credibility, the visibility, the values, the insights, all of that is influential. No?
Yes, I've always had an issue with the term itself, because there's this guy that we work with in Riyadh. He is, by the standard definition, he is an influencer among the sector that he works in, but he doesn't have like these hundreds of thousands of followers. So like I think we've really abused the word influencer, and it doesn't mean what it
Totally.
you know, just because you have and because like, you know, a lot of times you see these influencers, their followers kind of like they follow them out of not spite, but like they follow them because like maybe it's just like they want to make fun of them.
On why are we following certain people? Right?
Exactly, because like sometimes it's kind of like a car accident. Like you can't help but to watch.
Monash, you're also nodding. So what?
Yes,
do you have
please.
any insights on that?
No, I think with influencers, I think the work we have done is very limited. Yeah. Again, I think because of the nature of the industry that we are in. But I think this is where the attention is going to. Yeah. Few years back.
Doesn't make it a good thing. Does it make it a good thing?
No, I think these
I'd
are
like
Stefania.
I'd like to add something quickly on that, because in Nokia, my role, I was in charge of the brand ambassadors strategy. I work with influencers. I totally agree, the term has been misused.
Yeah.
I don't like calling them influencers, but influential people. And I'm really glad that he brought the part of bringing people who are not influencers per se, the typical influencer of selfie.
Yeah.
We need to shift from influencers to influential people, and it can be industry leaders, it can be content creators, employees. They are your best brand ambassadors, and I'm sure that this is going to be a shift as well, where employees will be creating content for the brands. A message that is shared by an employee or a business owner has a 600% more reach than when you share it through your brand.
That's true.
The term influencer or influential is going to shift amongst all these other type of people who can have an impact on the potential customers that you may have.
Now that you're talking, thank you for sharing that, but there's a question playing in my head, and I'm someone who doesn't hold anything back. You mentioned about the evolution between the e-commerce, buying online, and in-person shops. What's the downside of it? What's the downside of people shifting from in-person stores into e-commerce? We're talking about the benefits, but what do you think the downside of it?
Interesting question. I need to elaborate as I'm talking. Obviously, the first that comes to my mind is that we miss that personal interaction, where sometimes you go to a shop and you are not 100% what you are going to buy, and then you have a very good salesperson who can understand and guide you. And I'm not talking about misleading you and making you buy something that you don't want. But we all have seen these people who are extremely skilled as a salesperson that can give you very good advice. So yes, with the artificial intelligence, a machine will be able to understand and predict what we want, but we will miss that
the human touch.
The human touch and that intelligence that you can spot when you look at the face of a person that is very subtle. So I think this is going to be one of the downsides of it.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to add on the topic? Because I do have lots of questions, but to be mindful of your time and people's times, do you have anything that, if there's one takeaway you want people to take from today? Each one of you one-liners. Ali, I'll start with you.
Okay. I think the main thing is knowledge. You just have to always be up to date on the latest trends and what's happening, whether it's social platforms or algorithms, because you asked about the algorithms earlier. There's nothing we can do about them. But what we can do is stay updated with what's happening so that we can adjust accordingly. So I think the main takeaway is marketing is a very big and deep ocean, and it's just a matter of sinking in and trying to absorb as much as possible.
Thank you.
From my side, I would highlight again the hybrid model that is going to happen, the digital, plus understanding that online is not going to be only your website, but we are going to be able to buy through the website, through social media. Instagram is shifting as well to become a shop, and through the mobile device. So these are the main highlights, that there is not going to be only one thing that works. We need really to welcome and become friends
So
with
have an open mind.
being hybrid with many different things.
Okay, thank you. Monash?
I think the only takeaway I would like to talk about is when business is low and regular businesses, retail businesses, B2B businesses, they throw people at the problem. So they would hire more salespeople. Yeah. And with digital, now we can enable the existing salespeople to be more efficient. So people talk about bad workers blame their tools. Yeah. So this is some very wise man who's saving money in the short term. Yeah. So if you enable the existing sales force with giving them really powerful leads or inquiries or those brand presence that you can build online, they can sell much faster. They can sell much quicker. They can impact a lot more people's lives much easier than hiring 2 extra salespeople and giving them the same old tools like cold calling,
again and again,
walking, opening doors and stuff like that. It becomes easy for them. So I think explore the idea. Yeah, it is never late to join the
So if I
bandwagon.
were to just combine what you all said, have an open mind, educate yourself on what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and experiment and take actions accordingly.
Exactly.
Right? Thank you so much, Ali, Stefania, Monash, for your
Thank you.
time and your
Thank
insight
you.
and sharing your knowledge. I know you took some time out of your busy schedules. I hope you really enjoyed it. Now it's time for your questions. We do have the time for one question. Anyone here? I can feel that you have a question. Oh, okay. So what is the one insight you got from today's discussion? There you go.
So, of course, I had questions about influencers, that how are they changing the market right now? Probably that has been answered. Then the new way of sales, of how we can reach out the market in a shortest possible time. So maybe some insights on it. I believe we have discussed a lot about it, but still, how a company or salespeople can reach the market in shortest possible time using the digital technology or digital platforms available with us. So what is your suggestion on it?
I think you can look at the problem in two ways. Yeah, there is something called in market and out of market. So in market are people who are looking for solutions now. That's wherever people search for things like Google, like Ali was telling about SEO, Google AdWords or Quora ads, all these things where people actually express an interest of looking for information. You can actually advertise there. You can actually produce content there. You can be present there. So this is the short-term place. The problem with this place in market is he will also be going to your competition and also filling up forms and getting inquiries. So price is a big factor there. Yeah. Then you have your out of market. So this is where a little bit of long-term investing in events, investing in really good content that solves people's pain, working with influencers or working with so-called content creators who can push the word across will really help. So to answer your question, if you're short-term, if you have salespeople and you want to make them efficient, look at in-market strategies. So people in market is basically people who are looking for your products and services now. And search and any platform where you think that people would actually go for reading information, they would search and do where the intent is, they have an intention, yeah? So the intent is very visible, be active in those platforms and you'll get your immediate adrenaline or the immediate rush. But it's not long term, it has its consequences like the price war, yeah?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
A round of applause for the panelists. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ray.